guess. But no, I'm excited to actually, like, just, I don't know, ski build, I mean, whatever. Because I got Blake's coming back. I'm like, Blake, we're going to do some ski building because he's all keen. But he's all keen to, like, reinvent the wheel. I'm like, well, you have to side cut. You have no side cut, or reverse side cut. Like, there's only so many. Well, I told you about my random crazy idea was to have, like, the puffing, like, thing on the top sheet. That'd be super fun, cool if it actually worked. It might be dangerous, I guess, if you're like...
Why, you know, we went from skiing with one pole to 2 poles, and then the kids went back to no poles, which had never been done. What about the 1 pole? Like, why don't these kids bring the 1 pole back? It seems pretty friendly.
It'd be cool to make a badass 1 pole.
Yeah.
Just like make a new styly 1 pole.
Yeah, because you can, like, drag it and, like do these, like, crazy, like, rudder moves that you can't do with, like, 2 ski poles, you know, where you're, like, back, like,
I mean, would you still pole plant? Your hands would be out here. Keep your hands up front, if anything. You couldn't be back here because the pole's there.
Dude, telly skiing with 1 pole, like, doing this, like, paddle board, like... Like,
well, that was part of my idea. I actually want to start making just some custom poles. Just I've never done it. It'd be kind of fun. But I mean, that's going to become the focus now. You know, I've got these other things. I'm just shotgunning shit out there. But then there's so much content you can do, like, on just ski building. Like, oh, cut the edges out today. Like, what is this? You know, just all of it. And then, like, having podcasts that are just specific to, like, ski building or ski testing. And then the big thing, the big brainstorm I had, the big reason why I'd gotten out of skiing because it's so fucking dangerous. I'm like, I can't kill. It's time consuming and dangerous to go do how I want to do it. I can't do it. This is not happening. I can go sporadically. I still go to the resort as much as I want, which is fun. But here's the fucking solution. Is I give a pair of skis to fucking Jimmy. Hey Jimmy, go shred the gnar. Film it. That's all you gotta do. Give me the footage.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
I don't need to kill myself.
No,
Give me the footage. And I do the social media end of it. Boom. I don't have to do any of it. Great. Like, that's my solution. I'm just going to sponsor some yahoos and get them GoPros or whatever, and then just file the footage. Like, oh, you're going to shred the gnar today? Great. Have fun. Don't get killed. Like, give me your footage tonight, and then keep all the social media uploaded and see what happens from there. Just as far as, I mean, that's how you really should be doing it. You can't do everything.
Well, there's definitely a lot of good formulas out there for, like, you know, people that have taken all of these concepts and are, like, doing them very well.
Yeah.
You just gotta, like, I mean, you know, the whole thing about making any type of content and that you want to have people come back to is having a familiar format. Because people want new content, but they want it to be delivered at the same way that it was every single time.
Yeah.
So they want it to hit these same marks, and they want to feel these same emotions at these same time periods.
That's so interesting.
And they want it delivered in that same package, you know, same intro, same outro,
same thumbnail,
you know, same B-roll with music, same little fucking sit down and talk at the camera, same little graphic here and there.
Why is that? Is that psychology?
It's very much psychology, and you've been fed this for your entire life watching television because it's all very much set up that way, and it's just familiarity trying to bring that back into the situation.
Yeah, and
well, that's the way it is. You know, it's like bringing that back, but in your little short form. I mean, for YouTube, I'm saying.
Yeah,
know, like,
no, I agree because that's what they all fucking say.
Yeah.
They all say, pick a fucking niche.
Yeah.
Focus on it. Like, you're obsessed with peanut butter, be the peanut butter guy. Like, I have a peanut butter channel. I love all types of peanut butter. I travel the world and sample peanut butter. Like, that could be your thing, and you could actually get rich on that.
It sucks. It's so boring. That's so
I know,
boring.
that's my problem.
Pick one thing and, like,
I know.
I pound nails. I pound 2-inch nails. I pound 3-inch nails.
Yeah, so that's that was my
like,
solution to calling everything Jake in Alaska, because Alaska is the thing now.
Yeah.
I call them Alaska the thing, so anything that's under this umbrella, it's like, you know, that might be a cheat, it might not work, because I'm still shotgunning all over the place. But you see my approach, it's like, because I do get bored.
Well, that's another thing that's a whole nother topic, is so from a reality TV standpoint, Alaska has been very successful for programs. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made 125 or however many reality TV shows. I can't even name how many of them that I've worked on.
Yeah.
And
And the Marty Rainey empire just keeps plugging away.
yeah, it just keeps chugging along, just
Yeah.
keep dumping,
Yeah.
you know, diesel in the tank, and it keeps just go.
Yeah.
But as far as Alaska as a YouTube subject, it's very like small scale. So as far as like, you know, YouTube is this very relatable thing. It's like, you know, the biggest YouTube hits are like, you know, kids that put makeup on, and like,
Yeah.
you know, it's very like trendy, mainstream pop culture topics, and
Yeah.
it's interesting how people on cable television like want to watch a bunch of weirdos like living in fucking teepees or something in Alaska, but
Yeah.
that same experience doesn't really sell as well in like YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
And you know,
Yeah. Well, I know YouTube. I mean, these videos these kids are watching, they're like, oh, like how many views is that? 20 million views. You're like, what on earth are you fucking watching? And it's like them unpackaging some toys. I remember some toys, and they're unpackaging them and playing with them. And it's an adult talking in a little kid's voice, like playing with toys. You're like, what? Like that's it. And then boom, you know they made fucking 50 grand on the video. You're like, are you insane? And you know, like Mr. Beast, like I was telling you about, was like, he's gonna be the number. What has he got now? Like 50 million subscribers or something crazy.
yeah,
And he's making like $10 million a video or something, and he's just doing like, that's the stuff where you're like, who longest person keeps their hand on this thing wins it, you know, on a Lamborghini or something. He's got the money to buy a Lamborghini, and that's where I was saying, like, start with skis. I'll make a pair of skis. Last guy who gets them, you know.
yeah. It's so to
It's game show
so
with drama, with humanity, with, there's a formula.
the formula is this: is that to monetize, to actually monetize, and I think that like by monetizing you're included into the YouTube algorithm at a different level because you're now involved in like the
Their
AdSense
money
or whatever.
making, yeah.
Their money making empire. To get monetized on YouTube, you have to have
It's
1,000 subscribers,
Yeah.
or you have to,
And 4,000
and
hours
yeah, exactly,
in the previous year,
in the previous
which
year.
is a lot. Like my previous channel, it's been going
Exactly.
for fucking ever, but it's been going, but very randomly. I kind of wish I had been working it, knowing this from day one. It would be fucking killing it. But we've got like 200 subscribers.
Yeah, so you can
And, like-
kind of like figure out, you know, if you have 10 minutes of content on YouTube, you're making 30-second videos, and like, you know, the chances, and so then you have to, you know, you have to have like a few hours of content on there, and then you have to have a good retention rate. So you need to be able to, you know, have a good hook at the beginning of your video where you're like, I mean, any good YouTube video is like about retention. And so you like gotta like, you got 20 seconds. Right out, explain everything that's going to happen in this video, and this is going
It's
to
like an
happen right
essay.
now. And
What I'm
blah,
going to
blah,
tell
blah,
you,
blah,
I'm going
blah.
to tell you, then tell you what I told you.
Yeah, and then boom, intro, and then now we come back, and now we can kind of try and get the long form of that situation, and then you got your outro at the end. You know, subscribe to me and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, like click here and you know.
Oh yeah, I've got some horrible retention rates. Like, well, just crazy. It's like the numbers are comically low, and I'm just like literally ignoring it. Like that Gary V's advice is, don't even look at the numbers. Like, be proud of your low numbers.
Well,
and I'm like,
if you want to get a bunch of, if your goal is to actually get monetized, like, you know, like I have a whole tool cabinet of shit. Like I could. It's more about picking a nail and like pounding it. Like, like I said, you know, it's about that because people want, like, people like, you know, we're in this time when people binge like Netflix, and their goal is to go on YouTube and find this new person who they didn't know who existed and has like a Netflix backlog of video that they can now just like dig through now that they like it, you know. And it's not just enough to be like, oh, I saw one video, like you want to like click on them and be like,
well, and I've got a couple guys
like
well, I've got a couple guys I've watched for years now, like Triathlon Terran, when I was like studying triathlon when I first was getting into it. Like the one guy, and he has a quirky little personality, but he's telling you a lot of shit, and he has a predictable little thing. And then I would notice, like, when his like his intro would change. He'd like re-update it, make a new one. You're like, oh, it's a new song. Oh, but it's the same. And then the other guy, there's a running guy, and his is similar but different. And he's just running. And then there's another guy who's like mountain running guy. So I was watching all these random. And then they'd make fun of me like, what the fuck are you watching? You're just watching guys running in the woods? I'm like, I don't know. I guess it's pretty fucking boring. In it's so funny. Like, oh, that's what I was gonna tell you. Like, well, not really an epiphany, but at that race there 3 weeks ago, October 3rd, and then I took 2 weeks off. Because I've been going hard all summer, running, working,
Yeah.
biking, like on a constant state of whatever. Took 2 weeks off. The first week, it was all the normal aches and pains of the race, like, oh, that's sore, 1, 2, 3 days later, and then it kind of felt better. The second week, not a single ache or pain for the first time in years, like, because I literally took a time off. And last time I took time off was because my hip hurt, so it wasn't the same. I was like fucking gimped up. So this was last week. Not a single ache or pain, and my energy level was like, woo, like I was at work just like, oh, this is easy, because my rationale has always been, oh, if I go run hard, work hard, the running after work is the hardest thing in my day, therefore the work should be easy, but technically every single fucking day I'm dragging ass because I ran 10 miles the night before.
10 miles.
But I brought myself, the performance was here, but the like energy feeling was here, right? I'm like always fucking dragging ass, but always staying strong and doing it. So then this last week I was fucking loving it. Like, wow, whew, I feel great. And I was conscientiously taking another week off, and then it was last Thursday, it's exactly a week ago, I had time, so I jumped on the bike and did like a 2.5 hour Zwift ride. Because like the badge is in there, like I've got all these big ones left. They're all fucking 3 hour rides. The badge system is just like a checking off the fucking system. There's fucking hundreds of these things, and I've gotten it down to where I've just got these big fuckers left. So like, oh, I'll take off a big one, 2.5 hour ride. Yeah, that was great. Then I was tired. I'm like, oh, I remember this feeling. Like, oh, the endorphin after the workout. Like, oh, that feels great. The next day, fucking dog. I wake up and I'm like, oh fuck, ooh. I'm tired. But it was I was familiar. I was like, oh, I remember this feeling. Like, I'm fucking tired, but all right, keep going on my day. And I started doing shit, and 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, I was like, man, I'm fucking tired. Like, I was tired.
Yeah.
And to where it was like 1 o'clock, 2, and I had all this shit I had to do, the whole fucking house to-do list, and I had to fucking take a nap. I was like, like, and it was such a familiar, and that's the thing, it wasn't a new feeling, it was familiar. I was like, this is what I've been doing. It was like my head was back underwater. It's like I'd been underwater for years. I came up for a week and got fresh air, and then I was like, boom, back underwater. And it was such a, like, obvious thing. I was like, oh my god, like, no duh. But it was like, anyway, it's just really interesting. Like, of course, I'm fucking working and then working on top of it for what? Who knows?
Seems like in Alaska you could, like, rent, like, Zwift setups. Because people, like, want to almost just like have it for like 3 or 4 or 6 months or something.
Well, I thought of doing a Zwift studio. If you had a studio that people rented and came and used your studio, I think it's a licensing issue with Zwift. I don't think I could. I think it'd have to be half illegal sort of setup. Like if I had my bike set up, and I said, hey, you pay $10 an hour or whatever to come ride Zwift. Like, or no, I guess you just log in your own name. You have to have your own account. That's what it would be. Something, but anyway. Then I was going to have 4 of them, because I was going to have 2 facing this way, 2 facing the other way, and like a screen on each of them, and have like a little fucking mini Zwift studio.
I mean, even if you just like spent the time to overtime, like build out like just doing group rides with people within your community, you could do like Zwift and Zoom or something at the same time, or like, like there's the future will be like ridiculous as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I mean that's where it's going. Like, yeah, pandemic lockdown, Zwift fucking got filled up. People are like, oh, this is great, and it is great, and I do love it. Like, I love fucking Zwift, and I actually enjoy outside of whatever your training might be. It's actually a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go bike through, and I know all the worlds. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go bike the fucking Alps route or whatever, and it's an hour and a half. I know how long it'll take. I'll crack a beer at the top of the mountain, get off, take a piss break, coast down the mountain, It's like real biking enough that it's real biking in the convenience of my downstairs at night in a rainstorm. It's just too good to pass up considering where we live. And even in Hawaii when we were there was good biking in Hawaii. I'm like, man, I wish I had fucking Zwift, because it's fucking dark at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Nothing to do. I'm like, man, I would Zwift right now, that'd be great. So, But yeah, the point of my story was like, it fucking wears you out, and what am I really trying to accomplish? I mean, I'm not going to the Olympics or anything. I'm wearing it. It's like hard to build an empire when I'm like, you know.
Yeah, you don't need to like be fucking
I don't want to get fat though.
fat. You need to be pounding like 9 beers and like.
I think I would get fat though. I eat
just,
bad.
like,
I mean, not
Really?
bad, but I definitely fucking eat donuts and beer and
You,
ice
like,
cream.
Can't see your own pecker anymore.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, time to
Yeah.
send them out.
Well, that's where
At least
4
that's
years
like
ago
a
when I.
toll.
Well, yeah, 4 years ago when I was like first start, I was getting fat. I was like 230. I'm like 200 right now. I was 230. And I remember I was doing something with my dad at his house. I was reaching up to get a board or something, and my like beer gut came out of my. And he called me out on my beer gut. I was like, oh, like this fat. I'm like, wow, like it kind of. That's all I was doing was going to work. So that's the thing. You can work 10-hour day construction if you're not losing weight. And I eat donuts.
Yeah, and you like some days you'll have a hard day, but it's so sporadic.
Yeah,
like,
it's
doesn't-
not like-
you can't like rely on it how adding
No.
up and.
So that's a toss up of like, and that's where it is. I have to just moderate it. I mean, it's the time of year too. Like I felt worn out. Like when it's fucking sunny out, your energy is there. But when it's dark and cold, it's like it's time to hibernate.
It's such an interesting like living here that like it totally. I feel like if we lived someplace with a more consistent climate without like such extreme seasons, it helps
Yeah.
you stay like in your hobbies and stuff
Yeah.
and like your personal things
That's
that you're
true.
interested in. Allows you kind of to do more long term and stay interested in projects like
You
for
have to
more
change
long
here
term.
so
But
much.
here it's like every 3 months, like, oh, can't do that anymore in this, or shit. Sometimes it's like, I own all of this shit because there's like a week a year I can do that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's so seasonal and the seasons are so extreme that it's like,
Yeah.
and they even year to year they seem to get more so that.
Yeah. Well, I've been jealous of fucking living in Anchorage. Like I've got a mountain bike in the summer for the first time in years, and it's enjoyable, but it's very limited trail system here. Like we got goddamn Beaver Trail, this trail, Winter
Yeah, they're
Creek.
like 2 trails.
And they're like, once you rode the bumpy, rooty trail, I mean, it's not that much fun.
No, it's definitely.
It's like, there's a couple that are a little kind of flowy and entertaining, but the Anchorage trails, you've been on the Anchorage trails, they're amazing.
They're
All the
amazing.
hillside trails and all the Kincaid trails. I'm like, oh my god, if I lived in Anchorage, I would go to Kincaid every evening after work, like every other fucking yuppie. That's why they do it, because it's fucking
It'd be
amazing.
the biggest service to this community to get that Beaver Pond Trail like buffed out. Because at least to have like a loop around the valley now
Oh,
that they
yeah.
have this, you know.
Yeah, to link it to this.
Yeah,
right
and
here.
like Andy, I don't think can like do the same work to that trail like that he did on this one. It's too.
I know that Beaver Pond, if it was buffed out and smooth, it would be fucking sweet.
Yeah,
it's got good flow.
It needs some work, and it's like, well, it's, you know, from Crow Creek Road back, half of it is the old wagon trail, like the historic, and then the wagon trail kind of gets lost down into the lower cavity of the valley where the snow machine trail used to run up, and then at that point it kind of goes up on the mountainside, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows if they'll do it. Well, you know they're doing the bridges down there in Jernigan or whatever.
Yeah, they're finally doing that.
Yeah, Geo's doing it right now. Today they flew with the Sikorsky, some huge bridge.
Yeah.
Because you were
Yeah.
talking about one wheeling out there.
Yeah, I went out there a couple times this summer and fjorded.
Yeah.
I almost fell in.
Really?
Yeah.
Swept away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool because they're linking. I mean, that was the plan, is to link Winter Creek to Blueberry.
That's so sad when they build a trail and literally 10 years later they put the bridges in to use it. That trail is so overgrown
Oh.
that it like needs like a ton of work to even brush it back so
really?
people can use it. The trail's been built so long ago,
Oh.
and that yeah.
So it's like a wide gravel path. It's like
The
built
trail
in.
was massive and like beautiful, and then they built it, and because the bridges never got put in, you can't hike the whole
Mm.
loop, and so like it kind of didn't get. I mean,
Oh.
you know, if you're like gnarly, and then going the other direction from the shitter parking lot going towards Johnson Pass, there's like a bunch of bridges that they're putting in that way. I think there's 6 creek crossings or something that way. Because I mean, you know all the.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think they've done them all. I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know if they've done. I mean, I really don't know.
yeah, I don't know. My point is that when all that's done, that's going to be when all those bridges are in, that trail is going to see so much more use that it's.
Well,
just
then especially from Blueberry Pass out 20 Mile, actually that'd be fucking cool to like leave the house here and bike to Seward, like on trail.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, so then Blueberry Pass down out 20, and then it's supposedly going out 20 Mile. Who knows when that'll happen?
Yeah.
Supposedly they have the funds for it. Like I've heard.
Man, that'd be crazy.
And
That's
they-
wild back there.
And
Trail building back there, that'd be gnarly.
yeah.
And the north side of that mountain coming around the corner, just in the dank. Like whoever's doing that. Thanks.
But remember that bridge out there?
Yeah, it just ended.
Just this massive, like. So why is
That
there?
was the last time I was out
Why
there.
is there a hand tram across Winter Creek Gorge and they
Yeah.
build like a $300,000 bridge
That's a good question.
out in the middle of nowhere?
That's a good question.
Like that's a fucking conundrum if I've ever known one.
And how they even get it out there?
It's like yeah.
I remember seeing that thing. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, you get way out there and it's just like I mean it's a very like Winter Creek Gorge scenario, but
Yeah.
it's just this massive bridge. You're like oh shit.
I was telling someone that story the other day. How we're leaving. That was such a. Oof, that was danger. Leaving Durnley was so dark. Pitch black. Remember we were just paddling in the pitch black? Like it was dark. We didn't put in the fucking river till 4 o'clock. Like we were like la la la, just walking, drinking beer, like not a care in the world. I don't know what we were thinking. I didn't know. I just like. It took us like 7 hours to get to the put in. Remember? It was something crazy because we left the house.
Yeah, what happened is the river took us a little bit longer than we normally would have took, but we ended up
'Cause it was real
running.
shallow.
We ended up running into like incoming tide.
Yeah.
It was a really high.
Well, first
tide.
there was the bears at the goddamn beach.
Oh yeah, I left a bunch of shit on that beach. Like I
Yeah,
left
that
my
was
GoPro and like some sunglasses.
Really?
I lost like $600 worth of shit.
Well, because we
of
came
those
down to the
bears.
bushes right after that bridge, and I remember we're in that alders. The river was running
Yeah,
through
we're
the
just all
alders.
jacked because we're finally to the river, and then it was like,
I remember
oh, fuck.
hearing a woof, woof. I'm like, what's that noise? Because Durnley had gone the one way, you and I were over here, and then we booked it. We're like, oh shit. Because they heard it, came out this way, then juked out to the beach, and then we saw the mom bear and two bears. We're like, oh my god, brown bears! Like, and they're looking pissed.
I just felt like, I mean, in my memory, I pretty much feel like we got chased off the little, like,
We did.
dead end of a fucking spit on a beach.
Because
into
we
the-
were all stoked to like
into
hang
the
out,
river
smoke weed, and like get ready to go, and like.
by 4 brown bears.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my god, we gotta go! We're like pumping, that's what you were doing, you were pumping up your thing real quick. Then we took off, but the river was super shallow, so we're dragging ass, sitting in our wet butts, paddling for hours at that point, and then the tide came in right when it was getting dark, the tide starts pushing backwards. Remember, it was a wicked high tide where it was pushed up over the banks. We couldn't even stop to get out and make a fire if we wanted, because it was up over the banks, and it was pitch fucking black. And then, I remember it was dark. It was like, wow, it's pretty dark, but remember you could paddle right on the edge of the alders,
Yeah.
and then back eddy, and I remember seeing the alders above me. I'm like, oh, I can still see, and then it was just inky, and I was like, I remember, Tom, you back there? And I could hear you, and then Durnley was gone. We're like, where the fuck's Durnley?
You know, like, I remember that, like, you know, so many times in my life how you end up going and doing something with somebody, and then it ends up in the situation where you just kind of just gotta finally put the hammer down to get home. Like, as in that situation.
Yeah, we were gonna die. We had to get. It was a boy, man, for real. I could hear you. I was more worried about you in general. Like, oh, is Tom gonna survive? I care about Tom more than Durnley. And then Durnley was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Durnley's
I
gone.
was fine. I was worried about you because you didn't have a life jacket on.
Oh.
And like I was happy because I felt like my life jacket was like the one thing that was keeping me warm. I was like
Oh.
all warm in my
I
life
remember
jacket. I
remember I was cold.
wasn't Durnley in like
He was
a
in a
dry
dry
suit.
suit.
Yeah, so
He
I
was
didn't
overheated.
and he was overheated. I didn't give a fuck about him. He was like a mile behind us.
Yeah. But that was fucking horrible. That was like survival in the dark, and then there's that point where you can see that light on the highway, but you're still like a mile from the goddamn highway,
Yeah.
just going and going and going. I remember pulling out at the beach, and just my legs were numb. I just like fell out of the boat and crawled up the beach, and that trucker was like taking a piss right there. Oh my god, that was horrible. I haven't done it since.
So it seems, yeah, that's a good looking John. That's a good journey.
Oh. Oh yeah, I got Blake. I had an idea. for a logo or a sticker. I said, can you do a picture of like an eagle or something with like hydraulic legs? Here you go. With skis under it.
That's great.
Did a couple of them. I mean, that was the first one. Something like that.
Dude,
It was just a random vision I texted, because he's really good at this sort of cartoonish art, ski company stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was going on the day back to ski company. I was thinking of calling it because I was just calling my skis Jake Young Alaska or something, trying to use it like, I don't know. I keep throwing these different names. First it was Carpathian. To me, I'm like, oh, Carpathian Mountain down here. Like, people in Gerd would kind of know what it is, kinda. But it's fucking mountain range in Romania, in general. And then I was like, Big League Boardcraft was my other name. I'm like, you know, but I never gone so far as just shifting a name and actually doing it. But I keep playing with these different names as if the name of it's gonna fucking change the motivation.
Well, it depends on what you want to do. Because if you want to make a business where you just like grow your fucking as a ski company, you just start taking random shit and gluing P-Tex to the bottom of it, and you just go out and start skiing on it. You know.
Any random shit?
Yeah, just
Like
like
this
anything.
bench?
Like that bench, or like, you know, like those two fucking shelves over there, like whatever. Like every single object that we could
Try to
glue
ski on
P-Tex on the bottom and
Yeah.
mount bindings on, like, and go ski it, like there's a YouTube video.
Or just 2x4s, like
Yeah, 2x4s. You know?
like playing them out and playing them down or whatever. That was another idea, kind of unrelated to skiing, was the 2x4 building competition. You have one 2x4. What can you make with it? Like, you can make a lot of shit if you like rip it into long strips and stuff,
So, yeah,
or like
that's-
long whatever. So I was thinking of like just that concept. It'd be kind of fun to like start a viral trend of like 2x4 construction. Like, if you could do something, you could do a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, if you had a bunch of strips ripped in like 1/4 inch, like fucking some super cool skeletal structure, or like anything, I don't know, or like a birdhouse, doghouse. I don't know, sky's the limit. But yeah, ski building, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a good evening activity.
Yeah.
It's not something you can do in one day, so.
Yeah. Well, this is gonna be the shop, so basically the
It's generally cleaner than surfboard building, right?
yeah, it's way less sanding. That was the thing, doing ski construction, then surfboard, and then fucking couple boats. Just surface area of sanding and epoxy, like, oh my god. And then skis are so tiny and dainty,
Yeah.
technical. And but yeah, the press is gonna go right here. Like, so this will be a bench, so you can load them through the door. And then I gotta rip all this junk out. I mean, it's pretty ready to go. Pretty much strip out the junk, and it's kind of low in this back corner, so this will probably be more storage, tool storage in this back corner.
Yeah.
And then probably run some new lights. These lights are kind of funky.
Yeah.
I don't know what on earth I was thinking. Well, this was a little dinner table for a renter, so there was a table. But what I was gonna do was just rip out the drywall and turn this down. Why is she calling me? And then run power, and then like those flush mounted lights I got inside, just mount 3 or 4 back in here, just off this, because there's 2 circuits. There's a circuit here, the north and the south circuit, gas, so it's fucking ready to go. And then next spring, if I get crazy, I was gonna rip the top off and do a double floor, like kind of cannibalize it from the inside.
Yeah.
And do a 2-story, turn this into a rental unit, 2-story. Like I told you, because if once I do the septic and water has to be upstairs because it has the gravity feed back to my other setup.
Mhm.
It has to be a chase that's got electrical heat in it. And
Yeah.
so that's the move. That's like next spring. Because this fucker rents, this was I could get $1,500 a month on this. Easy.
Oh yeah, I'm not exactly.
Yeah, this would be a cool downstairs and upstairs, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the move.
Good, good.
But, I don't know. That's pretty good. I'm gonna turn this thing off. They're tired. We got an hour and a half.